Winstead,
Yes.
what's going on here?
It seems like they're having little dance battles on the street, and they have what?
I was just gonna say, I was gonna tell the audience, a very simple way to know that we're not in China is that there's massive crowds.
All right.
And it sounds weird.
Yeah.
But in China, you're not allowed to assemble things like this in big
No,
groups, right?
no.
You
You'll
need a
get
permit.
chased away. That being said, of course you get those big organized like IE dances and stuff.
This is different. This is a crowd. It's really cool. Anyway.
Yeah, we were going to talk about what Vietnamese people like to do for fun.
Right.
And not just the youth like this, just in general, right?
So I want to start this off by saying, just first impressions, right? Although it's a socialist country, and you have all the insignia everywhere.
And these annoying flute players.
I'm gonna wait until Flute Man's gone.
He's blowing his flute out his nose. I don't think, can you see that?
That is, that's an interesting hobby. How many times do we gotta say anyway?
Sorry, yes. Look,
Anyway,
yeah.
my first impressions. Yeah. Thus far, although it's socialist and it's got your hammer and sickle and your red stars and your red, yellow stars on the red flag, thus far, Vietnam seems more individualistic than China.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like just going out and having fun is concerned, like,
Right.
I gotta film a little bit of B-roll here.
Sure.
Let's get some. It looks good. Let's get in there.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, sorry about that. Just
Sorry.
yeah.
Now the reason I say this, right? The reason that I say this is not because I think that this type of music or dancing is anything special. It's all Korean.
Sure.
From what we've seen, right? And not North Korean, like on that flag, from
Yeah.
South Korea. They're huge fans of that. The reason I say this
Yeah.
is because the type of public display that I usually see in China are things that you have filmed previously in Shenzhen.
Yeah, yeah.
Like real fringe groups of,
Yeah, the
of
thing is,
kids.
you get it. You get
do.
kids doing it, but it's
You do.
it's a different kind of a scenario.
Right.
The thing is, as well, this is kind of encouraged. They've shut the roads down here on the
Right.
weekend. We're in Hanoi, of course.
Right.
This is definitely not going to be indicative of the whole of Vietnam.
Of
that's for
course
sure.
not. Of course not.
But they shut the roads down specifically so that the kids can go out and do little dance groups,
Right.
and people can go out and have fun. You
Right.
know? So it's nice.
It is.
And of course, it's very touristy around here, but these are the locals having their fun.
Yeah, I mean, I think they come in from their, their houses and stuff to have fun on the weekends, and it is much more communal and interesting, I think.
Yeah, yeah. Sure.
But anyway, so we're talking about the hobbies and stuff in comparison to China,
Yeah.
and possibly some of the stuff we've seen in America as well. What is one of the most interesting hobbies you've seen here in Vietnam?
Well, both you and I, we don't like to stick around in these touristy areas. I know it doesn't seem that way through this video, but
Sure.
the other
this
night-
is locals.
yeah, of course. The other night we walked basically through the very fringe slums of Hanoi.
Yes.
We walked pretty much. That's what I like doing, is to explore
Me too.
and to go off the beaten path. So
Right.
we went all the way out there just to kind of see what the locals do.
Sure.
And one thing I found very interesting are these PlayStation bars.
Yeah.
Now, in China, consoles were banned for forever, basically.
Right.
So you get internet bars, Wang Bar.
Yeah.
Of course, that's where people hang out and they play League of Legends
Right.
and stuff. You get them here too.
Right.
I've seen them here. But I've never seen console bars.
Yeah. Yeah.
First of all, because, well, consoles are new to China now. They've only been around a couple of years, so
Right.
they don't really have a following. But they also are very restricted. The library of games is very restricted on them.
Yeah.
And they don't work online and stuff. You can't sign into the PlayStation Store or anything. You know, unless it's like the Chinese version, which is very restricted. So it's just not appealing.
No.
And it's also expensive.
Right.
Whereas here we had literally bars upon bars. We found a whole district of these PlayStation 4 bars, and they have PlayStation 4s up on the wall with TVs. Everyone's playing stuff like FIFA. They got their little leagues together. They're having fun. They're like scoring goals and jumping and doing twirls, and
Right.
all the bad boys are hanging around, you know, smoking their cigarettes and drinking their beer and playing FIFA in the PS4 bar.
Ironically, it was right next to the red light district.
And right next to kindergarten.
And right next to kindergarten. So
Yeah.
that was kind of interesting. But yeah, I thought that was super interesting just
Yeah.
because you don't see that, right?
No.
It did seem exactly like like an internet bar in China. But what I will say
Yeah.
is oftentimes when you peer into these internet bars in China, these kids are sitting there alone with their headsets on.
Right.
Whereas there were people crowded around the sofas, like you said, smoking cigarettes and drinking beer and cheering each other on,
Yeah,
playing
yeah.
like FIFA. It was much more communal in that respect.
Oh yeah.
And it was interesting to see, you know, fairly expensive technology in a very obviously poor area, right?
Oh,
But they
yeah.
found a way around it. You know,
Yeah.
they still want to play their soccer games or whatever.
I mean, I'm guessing what they do is they probably set up like a PlayStation account, buy a bunch of games,
right.
and then they're like, obviously they rent out the time on that
Right,
PlayStation,
right.
so they can make the money back for each game they buy.
Right.
Unless it's pirated, which it probably is, but
Sure.
whatever. You know. it's what
Anyway,
it is.
that was the first hobby that you
yeah.
saw, right?
What did you see?
I saw, and I have seen,
Right.
many KTVs around here, and that's karaoke.
Of course.
But what we saw that was a little more interesting was karaoke in the countryside.
Oh, yes.
And what I mean by that is instead of setting up some massive room with a TV and having to pay rent or all this kind of stuff, sound systems,
Yeah.
or instead of buying one of those massive karaoke machines in your house, because it kind of defeats the purpose, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
It's like I'm at home singing KTV with my friends.
Yeah.
You saw people using their phones and looking at the lyrics and basically, I think Bluetooth pairing it to a speaker.
Yeah, definitely. There was like a Bluetooth speaker there. Yeah.
Right. And what they were doing was passing around the microphone over, street food, street barbecue type stuff.
Yeah.
And then just hanging out, passing the mic around, doing karaoke like on the street.
Yeah,
Which
it
is
was really
that
funny,
was
yeah.
kind of interesting.
I thought that was really interesting. It's old people and stuff.
Right.
So.
Right. For sure.
Yeah.
That was kind of cool. What else?
We're walking past a lake, not this one. This is the very touristy lake in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
But we walked past another smaller lake, and there were groups of young kids sitting around on the pavement with like a bonfire.
Right.
Which is quite funny because there's signs
no
saying no fire, but then there's fire.
Right.
And you got kind of like high school age kids and stuff just sitting around having drinks.
Right.
That's something you don't see in China.
That's
It's like,
you stole my line there because I was this guy, look at this guy, he's telling the fortune to the kids.
fortune
You
teller.
don't see that in China, and
No.
you know what I found really romantic about this was imagine a Chinese person rocking up on their bike and taking their girl on a date when they're like 14, 15, 16 years old.
Right.
Doesn't happen. Instead, in Vietnam, you see these lines and lines of these step-through motorcycles.
Right.
These high school kids get off school, get a bunch of beers and make a fire with their friends.
Yeah, they do.
It's so different in that respect.
Yeah, it's kind of nice. Just sitting there drinking beer or
Right.
drinking whatever. So it's kind of nice to see that so far, this different way of approaching life, really.
Yeah,
You know?
and those are the differences that I think you wouldn't think about unless you had been to both places extensively.
I do feel like in China, it's a lot more restrictive and a lot more. There's a lot more conforming going on.
Right, it's a little
Because,
more open to do whatever you want here.
We have to be fair here, and in China, I have filmed and I've seen a lot of these little groups of kids kind of getting together
Right.
to dance in the squares
Right.
and stuff, but it's not the same. It's not on the same scale, and I feel like it's very looked down upon there,
Yeah.
and it's not encouraged.
You're
Whereas,
not supposed to stand out there.
No, you have to conform.
Right.
Whereas here, it looks like everybody's conforming still, but in a nice way because they're conforming to like K-pop.
Yeah, and just doing
Yeah.
doing more. It's almost more westernized in that respect. Going
Yeah.
out, having
Chilling
some
out.
drinks with your buddies.
Yeah.
In that respect.
Absolutely.
Um,
So, is there anything else that you can remember us seeing so far?
Well, I don't know if we have to mention it, but these dancers, right? This whole dancing thing. But one difference I would say is in China, as a man, you pretty much have to play basketball It's
Right.
literally like a quote people have told me. It's like, you're not a man unless you play basketball. Doesn't mean professionally, it just means with your friends, right?
Of course.
And the funny thing is that I haven't seen a whole lot of that here, but I have seen a ton of soccer.
Oh,
So
right,
it
right,
must be
right.
much more popular here.
I think so. I think soccer is the thing here. I'm
Yeah.
sure. Every country has its sports, you know.
Yeah, for sure.
America with its
Football.
no, what do you call that thing? Lacrosse.
Yeah, but
Just
football's way more popular.
No, it's actually baseball, right?
Yeah, baseball is the most popular, but football is very close behind it.
South Africa's rugby and cricket.
Right. So, whoa, calm down.
England's got its bowls, you know,
Bowls.
bowling green.
I feel like that's wicked lame.
I know. Oh, don't worry. I'm just making a joke.
Oh, okay.
Obviously,
I gotcha.
they're all about football and
Right.
rugby and stuff.
Right, right.
Yeah. So anyway,
Anyway, that's what we've seen thus far.
That's what we've seen. It's enjoyable. It's nice to observe the differences. I do feel like the youth here have it a little easier than in China. There's too much expectation on the youth in China.
It's also just much cheaper. You might be making less money here, but things are very cheap.
Yeah.
Right. So kids, you know, they don't pick up odd jobs and stuff in China to be able to afford things like that. They have to get money from their parents.
Right.
And then, like you said, the education expectations and stuff and parental expectations really restrict what kids do in their free time.
Absolutely.
And that's definitely a thing. That's definitely a thing. So that's what we've noticed thus far.
Cool. Anyway, anything you'd like to tell our subscribers before we sign off?
Well, we're going to be having more and more situations where we start to notice differences and similarities in different countries that we go to. So if you do enjoy this kind of stuff, make sure you have subscribed, indeed. And make sure that you leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. What have you noticed maybe in the background of our videos? Because we're just talking at the camera. Maybe you see stuff that's interesting, like these ladies getting their traditional photos taken. Either way, I hope you have subscribed so you can see our stuff in the future.
Sure.
Hey,
ADVChina?
yeah,
that's us.
We're actually
Hi.
filming ADVChina right now.
how's it going?
I was in Beijing for about 10 years, from 2005.
No way.
Yeah,
Oh,
so I've been following you guys probably for a couple of years. Though.
Cool.
Really enjoy
That's
your
super cool.
motorcycle stuff, man.
Maybe,
Well,
maybe
you'll
you
see
can
a
help.
bunch of Vietnam stuff.
You
Yeah.
guys are in the South, right?
What do you mean?
we're
In the
all
south
over.
of China?
Yeah. You just sold your flag. You sold your flag.
Yeah, I just sold my flat.
And you're still in China?
Yeah, on and off at the moment.
Yeah.
I'm
Cheers,
renting
guys.
right now.
Thanks.
Yeah,
All
cool.
right.
Maybe you can help us sign off.
Ah, hey,
Yeah.
watch these guys. Like, follow. Awesome content. I can vouch for it. Good stuff.
Thank you so
Cool.
much, man.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate it.
All right, stay
Nice meeting
awesome.
you.
Cheers. Yeah.